Hello everyone, good evening. I've just realised I haven't wiped my camera lens, so I'm just going to do this now before we go any further. That's better. Do the back one as well. How are we all? Happy Monday. Can you hear me now? I don't know. Can you hear me now? I just noticed that it had automatically muted me, but can you? Okay, you can hear me now. That was not there before, so there's a little icon on the live now, and it automatically mutes me as I join the live. How strange is that? Anyway, I've just been blabbering on and you couldn't even hear me. So I'll start again. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Jojo and I am one half of the ownership of Light Elegance UK. I've been an educator for Light Elegance for the last 7+ years. I discovered Light Elegance just over 8 years ago, and I've been a nail professional for over 19 years. I discovered Light Elegance because I became allergic to basically every nail product available on the market. There was a couple of things that I could use, but they didn't give me the longevity that I wanted or give me the artistic freedom that I was looking for. And then I found Light Elegance and everything changed. I am extremely excited this evening to be bringing you the brand new BLINKForms and the brand new Flash Dot. If you joined Layla's live last night, you will have been introduced to the Flash Dot, but if not, I am going to introduce you to our little guy in case you didn't see yesterday. I'm very excited to be showing this to you. I'm a little bit nervous because this is like the first time I'm actually showing somebody how to do this, but it's all good and it's all exciting, and honestly I cannot wait to show you how easy this is. You are going to love the BLINKForms. We also will have a little surprise towards the end of the live, so that if you want to get your hands on these products, they don't release for another couple of weeks just yet, but if you want to get hold of them before the general release date, we may be giving you a little something towards the end of this. If you watched yesterday, you already know. If you didn't watch yesterday, you'll have to just watch the end. So, for those of you who are wondering, what the hell are BLINKForms? BLINKForms are Light Elegance's dual forms, and they basically allow you to create nail extensions really super quick and easily without the need for traditional forms. So I'll be showing you how to use those. And then we also have our Flash Dot, which is very important in the use of the BLINKForms because we need to be able to flash cure our product before it goes into the light. This is a completely rechargeable light, so once you've charged it, it's good to go. You've got a good on and off switch there, and then it is a touch to make the light come on and off. So it's super easy. You can maneuver the neck however you want, so you can position it exactly where you want super easily. And yeah, I feel like we should probably just get cracking. So I'm going to switch my camera around. If you have, someone's saying they still can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay, everybody's saying they can hear, but someone isn't. Maybe just make sure that your sound is on. Or that you can't hear me saying that. But hopefully everybody else can hear. Okay, yeah. Everyone else can hear. It must just be somebody has not got their sound switched on. Righty, well, I'm going to switch the camera around and we will get started. Okay, so I'm just going to position, make sure my camera is in there nice and securely so it doesn't fall in my face. Right, so I'm going to zoom you in a little bit and just show you these BLINKForms first before we start any application. So this is the box that they come in. You have 48 BLINKForms and they are divided into 12 sizes so that you have a size for every nail that you are going to work on. And this is what they look like. So they are entirely different to anything that you've probably ever seen before. You have a area here for like the nail bed shape for different effects. You also have different shape lines here and guidelines. So they're really useful for making sure that you're applying the gel up to the point you want. You're not making them any longer than you really necessarily need them. And then, yeah, it just makes it super easy. So I'm just going to make sure I'm putting this back in the right thing. They are reusable. So you can just clean them once you've used them and reuse them again. I haven't had these long enough to be able to give you any kind of guidance as to how long they will last. But you're going to get a good few sets out of each form before you need to replace them. So they are really, really good value for money because you can keep reusing them and you're not having to throw forms away every single time. Right. We have the introduction to the forms, we have the introduction to the lamp, and I feel like now we need to get into the application. So I have a few nails here that are bare. Please excuse my thumb, I have turmeric, which has stained it a nice yellow colour. But I'm going to do a couple of different application techniques so that you can see different methods that will suit you depending on how you like to work, what kind of structure you like to create, and then if we've got time I will try and do a French ombre, which if you follow my account you'll have seen I posted last week and I've had a lot of requests for that. If we get time I will, if not I'll save it and we'll come back another time and do it at a later date. Okay, everyone's saying they can still hear me, so that's good. I'm just going to quickly just remove the shine on these. I did prep them, but it was earlier on today, so the kind of natural oils have come back to the surface. So I'm just using a 180 grit file just to gently remove that shine. Now, when we are looking at our clients' nails and we are contemplating what kind of service we're providing them and what technique we are going to use on them, one thing to bear in mind with the BLINKForms is that because we're not applying a form under that free edge that is kind of sitting up against the skin, is that we don't have a big gap between the end of the nail and the finger. So for instance, a nail biter, they are not necessarily going to be the prime candidate for use with BLINKForms because you are going to get a lot of contact between the product and the skin. And even though Light Elegance is formulated to prevent allergies, we still want to avoid that contact with the skin because even when we use the safest of products, there is still a slight risk of allergy. So we want to make sure that we're protecting our clients as much as possible. Okay, get my little dust brush, just remove any dust. And then we will give these a cleanse. I did cleanse them before I came on, so always cleanse before you remove the shine or do any prep, and then after as well. Give them a good scrub, go around that free edge as well, and then that thumb, that staining is very annoying, but it is what it is. Right, which nail am I going to start with? I'm going to start with the index finger. If anyone's got any questions at any point, just let me know in the comments. So before we add any bonding agents, we're going to size up this nail. What I would recommend is prepping your client's nails so that you've reduced any length that you don't need, evened out the natural free edge shape, and then you can go ahead and size all the tips before you then go ahead and apply your bonding agent. So what do we have here? We have a size 8. What I'm going to do for this now is I'm going to show you how you would use these BLINKForms. It's kind of in a similar method as to what you would do with a normal form. So I'm just going to use it really to build out the free edge and not really create very much structure. I'll do that separately. This is also really good if you prefer to create more of a classic structure in your C-curve and more of a classic structure in your apex. And I'll explain that when I come to the next application, because the second application I'm going to do more of a modern application. And I'll explain the differences when we get to that nail. So I'm just making sure that from the side walls that the tip is going to conceal both sides, that we don't have any gaps. So this is a size 8. If I go down a size to a size 9, you can see that there is a gap. It doesn't go all the way to the side wall. And again, on this side, you can see there would be a gap. So we want to make sure that it's going all the way to the side. And then if I take the next size up, which is the 7, then you can see that it's much, much too big. There's a lot of overlap between the edge of the nail and the form. So we're going to go for a number 8. I'm going to put that box over there before I knock it over. And we're going to apply air bond first. I always apply air bond before any application. This works really well in our climate on anybody because we have a lot of moisture in our air. We may not live in the hottest country, but because we get a lot of rain, our air is actually quite moist. It has a lot of moisture in it. So using something like air bond, it basically wicks away any excess moisture in the nail, meaning that you're going to get a really good bond between the product that you place on the top of it and the natural nail. For this nail, I'm going to use Power Bond. You'll notice that we tend to use tack a lot of the time for our cured bonder, but Power Bond works brilliantly for dual forms because it is a bonder and a base gel in one. It means that we're saving ourselves a step and therefore saving ourselves even more time. So I'm going to apply a thin layer of this all the way over the nail. So I do like to kind of scrub it in a little bit. I always like to do this with my bonder of any kind. Just helps to work it into that natural nail where you've removed the shine and you've got that little bit of texture. And then finish with some smoothing strokes over the surface of the nail. So we've got a thin application of Power Bond on there. I'm going to cure that in the LED dot lamp for 60 seconds. And then we will move on to our gel application. I'm going to use Decisions. I'm going to use Ideal Pink Builder. Builder is my preference at the moment with the dual forms, and the reason being is that it literally stays where you put it. So it makes the application of the dual form super easy. You're not having to chase product around the nail. It's not seeping out at the sides. It just makes it really nice and easy to apply. This one I am going to do like I say, like more of a classic application. So I'm using the dual form to build out the free edge, and then I'm building the structure with the apex with another gel. So I'm going to use Ideal Pink Builder for use with the dual form, and then I'll build the rest of the structure with Ideal Pink One Step. So same colour, just a different viscosity. Builder is really thick, doesn't really move, and Ideal Pink One Step is our thinnest viscosity, so it's really self-leveling, and you'll see the difference as I go through the application. So the product has cured. We've got Power Bond cured on the nail. You can see there how thick Builder is. I can literally hold it upside down for the next probably 5 years and it won't move anywhere. So it is really good. If you like a gel that just stays exactly where you put it, Builder is the one for you. So I'm going to take my dual form. I'm going to take my number 4 oval brush, which is my gel application brush, and then I'm just going to position this onto the nail. I basically want the start of the clear part of the form to match where the corner point of the natural nail is. That's where I want my free edge to start, and you can make this nail as long or as short as you want. So I could just put it till the first line, second line, the third line, whatever it is that you want to do. So I'll probably take it to kind of somewhere near the second line, just so that we can see it nice and easily. So I'm going to take a dollop of Builder. It's really important to just swipe that gel in one movement. Do not be pushing your brush into that gel, because what you're going to do is you're going to push air into the gel, and then you'll end up with air bubbles through the structure of your enhancement. So I'm going to roll that off onto the form, and you want to start at the free edge of the extension. Do not start at the back and work your way forward. Always start at the tip and work your way back. And this is so that we don't end up with a bulk of gel towards the cuticle area where we want it nice and thin. So I'm just frosting this gel, just lightly floating my brush over that gel and bringing it down towards that cuticle area. So we have a little something like that. Don't worry too much about there not being a lot of product towards the back, because we're going to build over anyway, and the main thing is that we are building out that free edge. You can turn the form to the side and just make sure that you have some product up to those sides. Again, you don't want it thick, but you do just want the product to be there, so that as you place it on the nail, you are concealing that natural side wall and nowhere's getting missed. The last thing you want is a gap between the natural side wall and your extension edge. And then what I like to do is turn the form over, because you can really see if there's any drastic unevenness. You can see there's unevenness towards the base, but like I say, we're not kind of interested or worried about that just yet. We're concentrating more about the extension edge. I will just quickly, because I just jabbed that with my brush, just smooth that out. Right, I'm going to place my brush somewhere away from any light, and I'm going to grab my flash dot so that it is ready to go. Now, what I have preferred to do, and this is totally personal preference, I actually like to get the dot going before I put the form on the nail, so that then as soon as it's in place, I can just get it straight underneath without even having to tap it, even though it's dead easy to just tap and go. So I'm going to try and focus in on that nail, but you'll see the light has come on. So I'm going to position this again so that it's just meeting that natural nail, and just angle it down onto that nail. Oh, I think I'm on a bit of a wonk. And then I'll position it underneath the lamp for a few seconds. Then I'll take it away from the lamp And then, oh, I was just out of the camera, sorry about that. We can just smooth the underneath if we need to. So we can just use our brush to, oh, sorry, I'm totally out of shot. To just smooth that underneath. And then we'll go to the flash dot again. And then I'm going to put that into the LED dot lamp and cure for 60 seconds. And it is as easy as that. And the next bit is the most satisfying thing I've ever encountered. So I'm just going to manoeuvre my flash dot out the way. Do we have any questions so far? I know we're like quite early on in the process, so it's probably the next bit is where it will get. Jess says she's finding this very relaxing to watch. Well, I'm glad. At least it's not stressful. Imagine if it was going wrong, then it would be stressful, and that would not be that would not be relaxing. It almost wasn't relaxing when it was pointing in another direction. Okay, we'll just allow that to finish curing. And then once this has come out and we've taken the form off, then I'm going to go in with my Ideal Pink One Step. So it has cured in the light, and then all you need to do is, she says, this is the nerve-wracking bit. Why isn't it? There we go. There you go. So you just squeeze it over the nail, the form pops off, and you have a perfectly sculpted, thin, free edge. How amazing is that? And how quick is that compared to having to put a form on, fit the form, tailor the form to the client's free edge, then fit the form again, then you build out the free edge, then you have to take the form off. How much quicker and easier is that? Now, like I say, it's not for everybody. If you've got someone's free edge who is all the way down here and you are going to have a big contact with the skin, stick with your normal method or use the blink tips. But if you have someone who has no or little amount of skin at the free edge, then this is absolutely perfect, and it is such a time saver. I wish I'd had this when I was working with clients, because this is just an absolute game changer. I love sculpting, but I am a perfectionist, and it is time consuming for me. I would take easily 2.5 hours for a full set. So to have had something like this would have saved me a hell of a lot of time. So you can see slightly, we do have a slight bump at the back there, but I'm not going to worry about that because I'm going to go over with One Step and it's just going to cover it up anyway. So I'm just going to give my One Step a bit of a mix. One Step, because it's a thinner viscosity, it does just sometimes separate ever so slightly from the pigment. Not drastically, but you'll just find that the very surface is ever so slightly transparent. So I'm just going to give it a little mix to make sure that we're getting the full colour payoff, and then give that a wipe off. And this is the Light Elegance Stir and Scoop spatula. Does the job perfectly. And then I'm going to just go in with my normal slip and dollop to create the overall structure. So I'm going to apply a slip layer all the way over, she says. Just take care, it might try and kind of touch the skin as you go over that little lip that you've got from where the jewel form was. And if you do happen to touch the skin, then the number one, mine is a bit old and battered. This is the first one, it's the only one I've ever had, but it's so perfect at just being able to go down the sides and remove any product that is touching the skin. I'm then going to come in with a dollop of gel, position that. I'm going to do the speed build for this one just so that we can speed through it. So I'm just coming in kind of a horseshoe shape down the length of the nail. And then we can just have a look from the side to make sure that our structure is all good. So make sure we've got support in the apex. And like I say, I'm going for more of like a classic style on this one. And then the next one will go for a bit more of a modern shape. So I'm just adding there. I'm just going to flip my finger upside down slightly because it is a little bit warm and I don't want any thickness at the sides. Right, I'm going to get that straight in the light because I do not want it to move, and then I'll show you the structure once it has cured. But how quick and easy is that? Right, let's have a look, see if we have any questions. Lisa Lovetivity says, I so appreciate the education regarding the BLINKForms. You are so welcome, and we'll have lots more to come, I can promise you, because if you haven't seen my Instagram, I am obsessed. These are my new obsession. Jess says, so flush. Debbie says, magic. It is like magic. Paola says, fantastic. Connie says, looks amazing. Lenore says, it's a dream. It really is. Debbie says, I hear you. Your perfectionist attitude rubbed off on me. Yes, it did. It did. Jessica says, seems a lot less wasteful as well than the paper forms, although I do love them, but I am completely sold by this. Yeah, I was intrigued by the dual forms because I've seen stuff on my Instagram and things, and it's been definitely pushed to me in my feed, but I wasn't convinced that I would enjoy it as much as I do. It's so good. Do you have to buff the extension before applying? I'm guessing, do you mean buff the extension that we've created before going in with the builder layer? No, you can just do it exactly how I've shown you now. Exactly how I've shown you is how I would do it. Tipsy Diva said, I missed the start. That's all right. It will be saved once we've finished and you can go back and watch. You've not missed too much. Ariel said, I mean, what's on the nail since it's smooth and shiny? No, so because we're going in with another gel, you don't need to buff it to create that structure. No, if you were going in with a product from another brand, then yes, you would need to, but because we're using Light Elegance on top of Light Elegance, you can just go on the slippery layer. It's fine. On the shiny layer, sorry. And that is your enhancement. How good is that? And with that one step, with its self-leveling properties, just makes a super, super smooth finish. I will just give this a quick little finish file, but it's going to take barely any effort whatsoever. So I'm just going to give it a cleanse. So how I'm showing you it now is exactly the method that I would use. So if I was going to buff it, I would have shown to buff it, but you don't need to because you're going in with another Light Elegance gel on the top. You of course can shape this as a square or a squoval. I am going to show this as an almond because I did have a question in my DMs about using the BLINKForms for an almond shape because of the fact that they are quite cylindrical, so they don't kind of tape it in as much. So I'm going to take my 180 grit file. I'm just going to move my flash dot out completely so I don't knock it over. So I'm just going to angle that underneath the free edge. Make sure when you're filing that lower arch that you're coming straight out from that natural side wall. Might have to take this down a bit. I'm not sure I'm going to cope. And if you've used like Elegance gels before, you know that they are really easy to file. So a lot of people get put off by the word hard gel and assume that it means that it is hard to file. But actually it is, oh, hopefully I didn't just disappear. Instagram telling me I'd reached my limit. So, can't remember my train of thought now. Yes, a lot of people get put off because it's named hard gel, but it's not hard to file. It's really easy to file. So just checking that, giving it a buff over that free edge. Have a look down the barrel. I always check down the barrel from the back view because that always highlights if there's any width at the sides of the nail. We can just taper this in a little bit more if we want, a bit more of a pointy almond. And then I always have a little feel over just to see if there's any unevenness over the surface, and then I'll come in with foamy. And there you have it, your almond nail. We'll just use the finish file just to really connect that lower arch to the extension, make sure there's no kind of joins there. And then the last thing that you can do, where's my little, oh, my wipe, there we go. So let's have a look. The underneath is actually pretty smooth. I don't actually need to do anything on there. So what I'll show you on the next one, because we're going for more of like a modern application. So you can see here that the shape is very classic almond. We're going to go for more modern with the next one. Now, a modern application, you can see on this one you've got more of a structured apex at the back third. The more modern application requires the free edge to be positioned slightly higher up, so you get a deeper C-curve and the apex is almost hidden within the structure. So you have like almost visually looks like quite a flat top to the nail, but the apex is hidden within the structure. This is my new favourite. It's very European, so I know we've got some people watching from outside of the UK. There is a real trend at the moment within like the European techs for this more modern style where you have this hidden apex. It means you get really good strength, but the overall look of the nail actually looks very thin, and I love it. And the dual forms make it super easy, and you can just apply it in a flash or in a blink, as we would say. So I'm going to do my thumb. Don't know what time it is. It is 8:34. Okay, so I'm going to pre-warn you, I'm not going to have time to do the French ombre, but I am telling you now, this is my promise to you, that I will come on again at some point and do that one for you, because I know people have been asking for it. I'd rather you guys get to know the basics of BLINKForms and then be able to further adapt those skills into the French ombre once you've got the basics. So even though it is really easy, you'll just have to wait a little bit longer for that. So I'm going to apply my power bond again. And put that in the lamp for 60 seconds. Okie dokie. Right, I'm going to use... Oh, I didn't size my BLINKForm. That was an error, wasn't it? We'll do that once we've cured the power bond. I'm going to use Baby Pink Builder. Now, I realise that I actually don't have a full size of this. I only have like a sample size, but I really like it. I haven't used... In all my 8 years, I haven't used Baby Pink all that much at all. because I always think in my head that it looks quite pink in the pot, but actually when it's on the nail, it's just a very natural colour. Right, let's see. Do we have any questions? Tipsy Diva says, dual forms for me will be a quick service, but to custom, I think custom it meant, but to custom shape sculpting will still be my special service. Yeah, and you can charge differently for them. Claws by Chloe says they file like butter. They really, really do. Jess said, could you do the shape tip in the form, or is it best to stick to the shape of the form and file the shape in afterwards? So no, you can, if you have a look, if it focuses, there are curved lines as well, so that you can do more of like a rounded free edge. So yes, you can do the shape in the form. Right, I think at the moment, because I'm still kind of getting to know the forms, I am still doing the square shape just because I feel like I'm guaranteeing the fact that it is covering all of the area that I want it to cover. And then as I get more confident with it, that I will then be able to use them for, you know, by shaping it in the jewel form. So I'm going to, this one we're going to apply from the cuticle area. So I'm just having a look. What's that? That is a number 3. I will just check the number below it, number 4. So with the number 4, I can feel that it's really putting pressure on that nail underneath. That's going to be really, really uncomfortable if I go ahead and use that. So I'm going to stick with my number 3. And we are going to need a bit more product for this because we want it to cover the whole nail and also give us our invisible apex. So I'm going to take my baby pink builder, take a nice old dollop of that, roll it off into that form, and then slowly float it down that form. Again, you want to be mindful of the fact that you don't want to put too much pressure because you don't want to push bubbles into the gel. Now, if you get to around halfway and you feel like you are running out, just grab another dollop, not as big this time because we're coming nearer towards the cuticle area, and then keep going down towards that cuticle area. And as before, it can be nice and thin around there. You don't need really barely any product. And then I'm just gonna smooth this out a little bit, just where I had that join. And on this one, we probably will need to file a little bit underneath to smooth out this gel because we have more gel there. And I'm going to flip it over just to make sure there isn't any really stark patches. It's a little bit thinner on this side. So I'm just going to blend that up a little bit just to make it a bit more even. Okay, so this is what we have at the moment. Again, I'm going to put that brush out of the way so it doesn't get cured. I'm going to take my flash dot. I'm actually going to put it out of shot this time just so that I can fully show you the application of the tip, and then I'll slightly go out of shot just while I flash cure it. Gosh, this is tricky with a camera in your face. Right, I think I'm in shot. So I'm going to position this on the nail, push down towards that cuticle area, and then slowly lower onto the nail. And then check it from the side. Once you're happy, then we can cure, flash cure. So I am just quickly flash curing. I will come back, I promise. Okay, so now we've done that, we can just use our brush to kind of maneuver this. So I can just see that I'm a little bit higher on the other side than this side, so I can just maneuver that slightly. And then I can just put this straight into the LED dot because it's flash cured, it's not moving anywhere, and we can get it straight in there. This method, you may be more susceptible to getting a little bit of a heat spike, an exothermic reaction, just because you have got a bit more thickness of product with the gel all going on in one layer. But what I've found is that with the flash dot, because you can kind of position the nail, if I just show you quickly, you can position it not super close and it will still flash cure. So you shouldn't get like an instant exothermic reaction. You might just get a slight bit of something when you put it into the LED dot lamp. But if you put it on the slower cure, which is the 120 setting, you should have no issues. Or you can just ask your client to kind of put their hand in for a couple of seconds, take it out, place it back in, place it back out, and do that for kind of 3-second intervals for around 4 times, and then it should be absolutely fine. Let's see what questions we have. Right, let's have a look. Ooh, lots of questions. My thing has like totally gone past everybody's questions. Are you saving this live? Yes, I will be saving the live. Right, it's out of the lamp. Are you ready? This is the best. The best. So I'm going to just squeeze that jewel form. You can see it's starting to release. Ta-da! Oh my, how satisfying is that line of light? Have you ever seen anything so satisfying? Because I have not. It's so good. Right, I'm just going to place my brush away so that I don't get any dust on it. And actually, I think this might be the best one that I've actually done so far, because I don't have any seepage at the back. So do you remember on this one I showed you there was like a little lip where it kind of seeped a little bit at the back? Basically, if you get that on the nail when you've done it across the whole surface of the nail, then what I like to do is I like to take my smoothie bit and just run it along the back, and it just takes that down. Literally, you can swipe it in one swipe, it's done. I use it around like 12 to 13 RPM, it's gone in one flash. However, maybe there's just a bit slight on there, but that is the best one I've done so far. Whoop, whoop. So they are completely smooth and shiny. If I show you the underneath, that is what it looks like. So you can see it's a little bit uneven just where we've applied that product a bit thicker. But you can see hopefully from the side it is fairly flat. So what happens is it almost is sloping slightly upwards, but once you've shaped in the lower arch, it just gives the illusion of like a really sleek nail, makes it look, it's just beautiful. I love it. I'm obsessed. So I'm going to crack on and file. I will just run my white with my cleanser just underneath that free edge, just to make sure that we've got all of that sticky inhibition layer off. So we're going to file this nail. You should see that you do get a bit of thickness underneath where you start filing, where you've got that hidden apex. So we want to make sure that we are filing that lower arch out. I like to file it out straight first, and then I can come in and round it up. And what I find by doing that is I don't then end up taking away too much from that lower arch. We're just shaping it up towards that free edge. and I like to go from side to side. That just helps me to keep the shape as symmetrical as I can. I'm just looking at it thinking, is this a bit too long again? Can I cope with that? Okay, where's our duster brush? Give that a dust. Right. I'm just going to take my finish file. Again, this is really good for getting in those the corners, especially if you've got deep side walls. So you see that from the side. So the free edge does almost seem to kind of slope upwards a little bit, but this is the modern way. This is the modern almond, is more of that slope. So it's a bit more like if you were to do, say, like a Gothic almond or a Russian, where it kind of comes up to the free edge rather than sloping down towards the lower arch. So it's just a different, slightly different shape, slightly different method. And then what we want to do is we want to then file that C-curve in underneath. So I'm just going to have a look at that. I am happy with the placement of that, so I do just want to come underneath. Sometimes if you have found maybe that you've angled the form a little bit too upwards, you can then do a bit of finish filing over that free edge before you then come in underneath for that C-curve. So obviously you do need to be e-file trained to do this step. So if you are not e-file trained, then go ahead with the method that I showed on the first nail. The reason being that this application was much thinner for the free edge, so you can get it much smoother underneath that free edge. And you don't need to then finish file with a smoothie bit underneath that free edge for the C-curve. It's already nice and smooth. Whereas on this method, you do want to come in and just file in that C-curve. So I'm taking my smoothie bit and I'm angling it slightly underneath that free edge. What you want to do is be really, really mindful of the person's hyponychium. So if you have somebody who has a high hyponychium, you need to be really, really careful that you are not filing into that hyponychium. So what we're aiming to do is create a nice thin edge and filing that C-curve in underneath. Which is quite difficult when you're on a camera. I'm now discovering. Okay, so then it should look, once you kind of do that, when you look at it from the top, angling slightly underneath it, it should look like a nice thin free edge. So we've got a little bit of thickness just on the side there. And I've got this smoothie at around 13,000 RPM. So again, I'm looking at it straight on, just angling slightly underneath, and we shouldn't see any of that thickness of gel under that free edge. So that is looking pretty good to me. I can also, like I say, just round that edge just there. I can just use the smoothie to just blend that to the natural nail. And the smoothie is a safety bit, so you cannot hurt someone with the smoothie. Different with the hyponychium, you want to be careful that you're not forcing that hyponychium away from the natural nail, because that can cause all sorts of problems like onycholysis and infections and things. So it's really, really important. But if you are using it around the cuticle area, you are totally safe around that area. And then with this nail, all you need to do, because we want to make sure that we are giving our top coat something to stick to, you can either buff it with the foamy buffer, or you can use tack. I'm just going to use my foamy buffer, just quick and easy. So just give that a buff. And once you've got your application just right, you can then, if I didn't need to go in and buff that bit around the cuticle area, I could literally go in with my top coat before I do all my shaping and everything, and then it's just even quicker. And actually one step is like a top coat in one. So you could actually do like a layer of one step in the form, or even super shiny, cure it, and then apply your builder, and then apply that to the nail, and then when you pop the dual form off, it's already got the top coat on there. But that's going to take a little bit more practice, because you want to know that your application is absolutely spot on before you do that. So where are we time wise? We are quickly running out of time, so I am going to top coat these. And I feel like I have not really answered any questions, but hopefully my descriptions are answering your questions as we go. If you would like to get your hands on the BLINKForms and the Flash Dot and the Blink tips that we previewed yesterday, then you have until 10 p.m. tomorrow night, or until stocks last, to get your hands on it before anybody else. Our general release date will be in a couple of weeks, but you have the opportunity to get hold of them early. So you can visit the Light Elegance website. You can go to lightelegance.co.uk/collections/blink, and that will direct you to the Flash Dot, the BLINKForms, and the Blink tips. I am going to pre-warn you that we have already sold a lot, and we only have one Flash Dot left in stock. So if you want a Flash Dot, you need to grab it quick. The other way you can find them, if you can't remember that web domain, just go onto the Light Elegance UK website, and then you can use the search bar at the top of the website, search for Flash Dot, search for BLINKForms, and they will come up in that search bar. How amazing. And like I say, that link will be, those products will be available for early pre-sale until tomorrow at 10 p.m. They will be dispatched immediately, so you will get them before the general release date. It's not like a pre-order where you have to wait for general release. You will get them early. So yeah, how exciting. I can't wait to see what you create and how much you love the new products. Right, I'm going to have a look and see, do we need to top coat under the free edge? No, you don't. You can if you want to. If you prefer a more glossy look underneath, you can. In that case, I would go for top gloss, because then you haven't got to worry about the sticky inhibition layer around underneath that free edge and nearest to the skin. The London nail designer said, I've actually learned the technique of hidden apex with a Brazilian educator. And I would say that's the other area where that is really popular. So either in Europe, but also Brazil. Brazil have been doing the hidden apex for many years. So yeah, it's definitely eking its way into kind of the general salon style. Tina says, why are you using Power Bond? So I use Power Bond under the dual forms because it means that I don't have to apply a layer of gel onto the nail as well as tack before I apply my dual form. It just makes it even quicker and easier. So rather than applying tack, then applying a slip layer to the natural nail, then curing that, and then applying my dual form, I just apply a Power Bond, and I have my base layer and my bonder all in one, and I can just then go ahead with my dual form. I've been using this under the dual forms. I've worn mine with absolutely no issues of lifting or service breakdown or anything. This new formula is much more adaptable than the previous. So if you have Power Bond from a previous distributor, that one is much more rigid. This one is a little bit more flexible, and it suits almost every nail type. Right, I think that is all the questions. I think there is still questions that I've missed, so I do apologise. If you have any questions that I have not answered, please feel free to message me. You can find me on Instagram. It's at Jojo Wickens, and I'll be happy to help you. I need to jump off now because we have Lenore on at 7 o'clock. She is doing Eastern textiles, which I'm really excited to watch because the nail art that she has done looks so beautiful. But yeah, I will save this live. Go grab your BLINKForms and your flash dots and your blink tips before general release over on the website. You have until 10 p.m. tomorrow. And other than that, I will see you all very soon. Bye, guys.